Are you interested in starting Amazon FBA but are not sure if it's right for you? I did Amazon FBA private label for a year and I'm going to share with you everything I learned so you can see if this is something that you want to start as well. A little bit about my journey. I actually first heard about Amazon FBA back in 2018 but didn't really take action because it just wasn't the right time. Then last year, Amazon FBA came up again when my boyfriend was telling me how one of his coworkers was doing really well with Amazon FBA. Since I was always interested in e-commerce, I got curious and started looking into it. Then I followed my curiosity and followed a lot of content creators and mentors to learn the basics of Amazon FBA. My boyfriend and I actually first purchased a course that cost around a couple $100s. But later we decided we really want to get serious and learn from the best in the industry. We then invested around $4,000 into a comprehensive course made by a group of 7 to 8 figure Amazon experts. As soon as we joined the course, we started learning and implementing, and about 5 to 6 months after, we launched our first product and hit over 10K sales in under 2 months, a 30% profit margin. That's why I truly believe in the power of investing in courses, mentorship, and most importantly, investing in yourself, because it really helps you save time and energy trying to look for all the information, and all you need to do is just to keep your head down and work, knowing that you will succeed as long as you don't give up. Now, let's dive into the things that I've learned during my first year of Amazon FBA. The number one thing that I learned is that Amazon FBA is viable, but it takes about 6 months to take out profit. I know the first thing a lot of people might be wondering is if Amazon FBA is really profitable, or how long does it really take to take out profit? I was wondering the same question as well at the beginning, and it was actually pretty hard to find an answer because all I saw was someone's making 100K or 500K with Amazon FBA, making me feel like it's almost too good to be true. After doing Amazon FBA for a year myself, I can confidently say that Amazon FBA is viable and it's highly profitable with a profit margin with 25% to 40%. But it's definitely not some get-rich-quick scheme because it will require some initial investment and effort. It took us about a month to find a profitable product, a month to find a good supplier, 2 months to manufacture our product, and another 2 months to ship the product. Our schedule is actually slightly longer than usual because we had to work on some issues with the supplier, and that's what delayed our process. But the normal time frame is usually 4 to 5 months till you can actually officially launch your product in the Amazon marketplace. Most people might think that you can profit as soon as you launch, meaning that you can put the money from your launch straight into your pocket, but that's actually not the case. The truth is that it takes about a couple of months for you to actually start paying yourself. The product you first launch is like a teenager. It can make some money, but it will still require substantial care and financial support from you. In other words, the money you make from your first inventory will basically go into PPC campaigns to drive more traffic, as well as your second inventory. Then starting your second inventory, which is roughly 2 to 3 months after your launch, your product will then grow into a young adult. It will make you more money and it will require a lot less care from you. It's only starting your third inventory, which is roughly 5 to 6 months after your launch, then your product can generate passive income fully on its own. In my experience, I reinvested all the money from the first inventory and started taking out profit from the second inventory. The sales have been pretty stable since then, and really there wasn't much to do besides monitoring the PPC campaigns and ordering more inventory. And this is pretty common across all Amazon FBA sellers. So the truth is that it is more exaggerated for marketing purposes when people are saying make 10K profit with Amazon FBA in 3 months, because the reality is that it takes at least 4 to 5 months to launch a product and another 2 months to profit. I know I sometimes put a little bit of the word game in my short form content as well, but my intention is to really show you what's possible. And I see a lot of content online about Amazon FBA that's pretty exaggerated, but that's why I wanted to share with you this, to really let you know the truth and to be aware of realistic time frame with Amazon FBA. The next thing you should know is that Amazon FBA is getting more competitive, and branding and the quality of the product have never been more important. Many people may worry that Amazon is getting more competitive, it's getting more saturated. It is true that more and more people are selling on Amazon, but more and more people are also coming to shop on Amazon. Getting saturated and getting more competitive can actually be a good thing. It means that the platform is growing. If we hear Amazon FBA is getting less saturated, getting less competitive, that means that the sellers are leaving the platform, then I actually probably wouldn't want to sell on Amazon FBA if that's the case. Now you might be wondering, how do I really stand out from my competition if I were to start Amazon FBA? Long gone are the days when people were trying to compete over prices. Now it's all about quality and relevant branding. In fact, there's actually more and more Chinese manufacturers who are listing their product directly on Amazon with much lower prices. So if you're only looking at how to compete in prices, you're shooting yourself in the foot. For example, the best way to improve your product is to go into your competitor's listing to check out the negative reviews, because that's where people are talking about which part of the product they don't like, and you can use the information to work with your supplier to improve the product. That way you can increase your sales and generate more good reviews. Not only that, you're able to increase your pricing because you increase the value of the product. This is exactly what I did with my first product to differentiate myself from my competition. I remember I spent a lot of time going through my competitors' listing to study and write down everything that people were complaining about, such as how the product breaks easily or how the lettering gets scratched easily. And then I shared all the information with my supplier to make sure that these things don't happen with my product. Then I also made sure to include a graph of my brand versus other brands in the listing images to really make it stand out also whenever people see my listing. Another thing that will give you a competitive edge is your branding. So your brand name, your logo, color scheme, packaging, and so on. If you're not good at graphic design, that's totally fine. You can outsource it to a freelancer. But it's still important for you to first at least set the vision and the goal of your branding. Make sure to think about what type of audience you're trying to sell your product to so that you can really design a branding that speaks to them. For example, my second product's target audience are people who really like to keep things organized and tidy, so I made sure my listing images and packaging are really minimalist and neat so that my brand will really evoke that feeling, that emotion from my potential customers to generate more clicks and more sales. Before I move on to my next tip, I just wanted to let you know that if you are serious about building your Amazon FBA business, I actually have a guide that walks you through the step-by-step process of starting an Amazon FBA business. You can download it for free via the link in my description box. The next thing that I've learned that I believe everyone who wants to start Amazon FBA should know is that you should always create an umbrella brand instead of a product-specific brand, so that in case in the future you want to sell your business, you will be able to sell it at a much higher value. In other words, you always want to aim to launch multiple products under an overarching brand instead of only looking to launch one specific product. What I mean by that is, instead of choosing a product-specific name such as Zen Yoga Mats or Deluxy Tumblers, go with a more generic brand name such as Zen Life or Deluxy, so that you're able to launch more products in the future to increase your brand value, and that way you're not limited by your product-specific brand. It's good to have a general idea about what category of products you want to build a brand around, such as pet products, kitchenware, or office supplies, and pick a generic name around that niche. What you should know is that one profitable brand with several products is way more valuable than just one product that does well. The reason is that after you launch a couple of products under your brand, you are able to easily sell that brand for millions of dollars. For example, this Amazon FBA brand in health and fitness is listed for sale for over $6 million, and this kitchenware brand is valued at over $2 million, and this apparel brand is listed at over $6 million. There's a lot of other examples that are like this, and you can achieve this by taking into consideration what type of $1 million brand you want to build from day one. If you want me to create a video that goes more in depth on creating an Amazon FBA brand, then make sure you hit the like button to let me know. The next important thing that I wish I knew at the beginning is that you should always plan things ahead of time and leave buffer time. There's a lot of steps involved with Amazon FBA, sometimes involves several other parties such as the supplier, the freight forwarder, or the Amazon warehouse. Also, if you're going to work with a Chinese supplier, keep in mind that there's usually a month break for factory workers for Chinese New Year during January or February every year. As you can see, a lot of things can get caught in the middle and affect your launch schedule. That's why you can really avoid delay by planning things ahead of time and scheduling in buffer time. For example, if you're trying to launch at the beginning of the year, you should always contact the supplier early to make sure they finish manufacturing the product and shipping it out before the Chinese New Year. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait another month to have your product shipped. Planning ahead of time becomes even more important when it comes to ordering your inventory. As I mentioned in my previous videos, you should always try your best to not run out of stock, as this can really affect your Amazon ranking. So a month of delay of getting your inventory can easily cause you to run out of stock and eventually affect your sales. Personally, for my first product launch, I had some issues that I had to work with the supplier right before Chinese New Year. I remember I was planning the whole time for shipping out the product before the long break, but unfortunately something came up during the inspection and I had to wait for a whole month for the supplier to come back to work after Chinese New Year to fix the issue. Thankfully, it happened before my product launch, so it didn't really affect much. Otherwise, it would have been a lot worse if it was for an inventory restock. Then I had another issue with creating the Amazon listing for my second product, and then it delayed the whole process by a month and a half. There really wasn't anything that I could do to speed up the process because I just had to go back and forth with Amazon seller support to try to solve the issue. You see, a lot of granular things can come up during the process. That's why it's really important to plan out your launch in detail and schedule in buffer time in advance. That way you can really try to prevent as little unpleasant surprises as possible. Moving on to the next thing that I learned, and that is do not wait till the last moment to learn about Amazon's pay-per-click, aka PPC campaigns. If you watched my How to Start Amazon FBA step-by-step video, you will know that you will need to launch and monitor your PPC campaigns to initially drive traffic and sales to your listing, because at the beginning you won't have that much traffic because you won't be at the top of the page. You will need to use Amazon ads to really bring traffic and bring a lot of clicks to your listing to be able to generate sales. PPC campaign is essentially Amazon's own ads that will allow you to bring exposure to your product listing, and you pay each time when someone clicks on your ad. These ads are essentially products with a little sponsored text at the bottom of the listing cover, and you can usually see it at top of search, product page, or rest of search. It's not extremely hard to learn how to build a PPC campaign, but it's always good to familiarize yourself with the process in advance because you will need to set the PPC campaign live as soon as you launch. In fact, there's usually a 2-week honeymoon phase for new listings, meaning that Amazon will favor and push your listing during this period. That's why you should use this time to make as many sales as possible so that you can rank to the top of the page. And PPC ads are a great way to drive sales at the beginning when you don't really have good ranking and good reviews. That's why it's really important to already have the knowledge and are prepared to launch your first PPC campaign by the time you're launching your product. Now, I know you might be wondering, I'm interested in starting Amazon FBA, but I don't know how to really find a profitable product. That's why your next action step is to watch this video, Signs of a Profitable Amazon FBA Product. Also, don't forget I have a free Amazon FBA guide where I walk you through the step-by-step process of starting your Amazon FBA business. So if you're serious of starting Amazon FBA, I highly recommend you download this guide for free via the link in my description box. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.